Starla. Yeah, shit. Go.
There's a trail.
Oh, that's gross.
Hey guys, what is up? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we'll be taking a look at The Long One, which was a mysterious parasitic alien that was featured in the hilarious 2006 horror comedy, written and directed by James Gunn in his directorial debut prior to helming the Guardians of the Galaxy series. The Long One is essentially a powerful sentient carnivorous creature that had been travelling across multiple planets in search of life that it could feed on, hell-bent on consuming everything in the known universe. The Long One existed as many parasitic forms and worked with a unique hive mind consciousness that dictated the actions of all. In the opening of the film, we see the creature arrive on Earth encased by a meteor, which breaks up upon entering the atmosphere, forcing it to land in the unsuspecting fictional town of Wheelsey. What's interesting about this film is that you don't get very much information about the Long One's history, where it came from, or how it managed to hitch a ride on a meteor. We do, however, get brief flashbacks from a person that was briefly a part of the Hive consciousness, who reveals to the survivors that the creature was billions of years old, and that it had gone from planet to planet consuming everything before moving on to the next world. Billions of years of evolution granted the Long One a unique life cycle, which allowed the creature to function with great efficiency, increasing its chances of assimilation and survival. The creature was capable of controlling hundreds of infected at any given time through its various forms. It's also likely that the extent is much greater, with the capability to control thousands, if not millions of infected organisms, though in the film, the Long One is destroyed before it could reach this stage. The life form begins as a needle, which infects a primary host. This primary host then seeks out to create wombs that mass-produce slugs capable of spreading the infection further. The needle is encased in a small gelatinous sac, which was a protective covering that gave it enough time to adjust to the foreign environment. When a potential host approaches the needle, its middle opens up to reveal a neural stinger that shoots into the host's body, making its way to the brain, initially taking control of both the cerebrum and cerebellum. Once here, it can essentially control all voluntary muscles and all the sensory, language, and memory processing abilities of the host, as seen through its possession of its first victim and subsequent primary host, Grant. Almost immediately, the primary host would begin to feel the creature's insatiable hunger, forcing it to consume large amounts of meat. Grant was also soon developing rashes and severe swelling before he began to grow tentacles from his chest, precipitating his eventual transformation into a hideous monster, resembling John Carpenter's The Thing. Using its tentacles, it was able to implant alien slug embryos into other hosts, which eventually swell up to massive sizes before exploding to release their sluggish offspring in a disgusting display. As the primary host continues to grow, its tentacles become extremely strong and agile, allowing it to be used as a deadly offensive weapon. When it no longer feels threatened, it will then bunker down in one location and begin to merge with the infected hosts, speeding up the time it takes to feed as the infected willingly move to the creature to begin the final assimilation. Although the primary host's ultimate goal was to facilitate the mass consumption of the Earth, it still consistently displayed a portion of its host's desires, with Grant wanting to be with his wife. In the film, Grant was able to implant many alien embryos into Brenda's stomach, subsequently creating the first alien womb. Now, although she was able to speak rationally without being controlled by the Long One, she was distracted by the overwhelming desire to eat raw meat, unaware that her hunger stemmed from the thousands of hungry slugs inside her, begging to be fed. These slithering slugs slide throughout the town, infecting anyone they came across by burrowing into their mouth, and were responsible for the mass infection of the Wheelsey populace, under the guidance of the primary host. Due to the hive mind nature of the Long One, the infected hosts controlled by slugs have the same memories and exhibit the same physical mannerisms of the primary hosts. The slugs essentially exist to carry out two distinct functions, the gathering of food for new wombs, and the eventual willing assimilation to the Long One. One of the survivors was able to remove the slug before it was able to enter her mouth, which inadvertently transferred some of the hive's memory and experiences of other planets it had consumed, giving her vital information about how it functioned. Using this information, the police chief and the handful of people that were yet to be infected blew up the Long One, effectively destroying the creature and severing its connection to its infected hosts. A homage to The Thing, Alien, and The Blob, Slither is a quirky horror comedy that is gross, hilarious, and filled with some of the most outlandish characters. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks to all of you guys who requested I take a look at the long one featured in Slither. If there's any other content you would like me to check out, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.